And the Oscar is awarded to Nicolas Cage.
Oh boy. Oh boy. $3.5 million budget, some 16 millimeter film stock thrown in, and I'm holding one of these. I have got to thank the members of the Academy for this, for including me in this group of super talents, and for helping me blur the line between art and commerce with this award. I know it's not hip to say it, but I just love acting, and I hope that there will be more encouragement for alternative movies where we can experiment and fast forward into the future of acting.
Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting Birthday Cast Special. It's your main man, Andy Gillard here. Hope you're all doing well right now.
Hi everybody, Matt Guy here. 1 year older, not 1 year wiser. How are we?
Good morrow, fine sirs. Welcome all, welcome aboard. Being a year is quite mental, really. It both doesn't feel like a year and it really does at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, it was dropped in the midst of, chaos, and it looks like we're finally coming out of it. And I think cage fighting is a big reason on why things are looking better finally. That full year.
I want to. We talked about things you wouldn't see in a previous episode. I want to go back and see when Andy Gillard texts me saying, "I've got an idea. Is this a mad idea?"
I was going to say when he said that to you, I mean, we kind of hinted at this for years, but never in this format, and just doing a podcast about nerdy stuff and talking bollocks, which is what it's kind of evolved into. but
we never quite found the in, did we, Stu? Until Nicolas Cage.
From that great day, from the great seed of beginnings in Brentford to now.
Yes, bloody hell. Yeah, it has been a long old time. Can you believe that we have recorded 35 podcasts of films? 33 have been released, so there are 2 more that are currently banked. We have watched 33 Nick Cage films in that time. And there have been other movies as well. Obviously, we did Last Christmas and Zack Snyder's Justice League and Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead and Zack Snyder's everything else, the feel of it. But yeah, 33 films have been pumped out. It has been an interesting year of highs and lows, I think is fair to say.
I've never watched this many films in I'd probably say about 3 years combined. And so I started doing this. I mean, it did kind of reignite my love of watching films, to be honest, because it had been I'd go and watch MCU films and DC and whatever, and blockbusters like we all kind of about all the time. But I've watched more films than playing games in the last year, easily. Mainly because of doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I always watched a lot of films, but then I think I went through a period of time of just going through TV series. But no, whenever I get a little break, I will put a film on before I'd think about starting a new TV series. Maybe that's the film student in me still, after all this time. So the last time we checked in was following a review of Jiu-Jitsu. Can you remember that film? Heavens above, that was an absolute stinker. Because when I looked on the list of when we dropped it in, I wanted to listen to the list again just to let you know where we were. And I listened to some of the review of Jiu-Jitsu and I thought I've scrubbed most of this film from my memory. It was that bad. But since then, we have watched, just of Nicolas Cage, we have watched Trapped in Paradise, Raising Arizona, Matchstick Men, Army of One, Inconceivable, Willy's Wonderland, Adaptation, Gone in 60 Seconds, and Drive Angry in 3D. So, to answer the big question, it is starting to look a little bit more one-sided after this last round of films. Last time out, it was 37 to 35, but the bad reviews that I think that we got in this round were from Trapped in Paradise and Gone in 60 Seconds. And me and Matt weren't impressed with Inconceivable. So the rest were pretty much good. So it's now at 56 to 43 in favour of good. However, we are still under halfway through. So it's not a foregone conclusion, and I know that there are some real bad films left. So for the record, myself and Matt both had 11 to 13 in favour of bad last time out, and we're now both 17 to 16 good, and Stu was 15 to 9 to 22 to 11.
He's champion.
Yes.
So I think we'll start with a bad. Let's get that out of the way. And we'll do 5 to 1 on our least favourite Cage films. I'll go first. So last time out, it was Ghost Rider, Pay the Ghost, Jiu-Jitsu, Knowing, and Left Behind was the number one worst film that we'd watched. And after this round of films, the only one for me is Trapped in Paradise. That goes into number 4. So that'll push Pay the Ghost back to number 5. I thought that Trapped in Paradise was just painful watching. Partly for Cage, but mostly for Dana Carvey. I thought he was proper nails on the chalkboard. So the top 3 remain as they are. My only change in mine is Trapped in Paradise goes into number 4. Stu, what's your bottom 5?
However much I hated Trapped in Paradise and we slated it, I'm going to keep it off for a bit just because I think I'm going to watch it at Christmas and I think it might change my mind. And
Well, we did watch it after Christmas,
this
didn't
is what I
we?
mean. So we watched it because we didn't know it was a Christmas film when it quite clearly is.
Yeah.
I think that might change it. And it might have to go kind of retrospectively move my score of that one up because as a Christmas film, it's nonsense and it's not a good film anyway. But on my bottom 5, it's Kill Chain, Pay the Ghost, Left Behind, Jiu-Jitsu, and obviously next, Rock Bottom, Forever. Out of all of them, Inconceivable was just shit. But is it worse than them 5? Because looking at the others, Trapped in Paradise wasn't a good film. Army of One was a bit meh. It wasn't really... It wasn't offensive enough to kick some of them off. I think Inconceivable's got... Because at least Kill Chain had a bit of something about it. There was at least a bit of... It wasn't very well made and there was boring parts. But I think it's going to be dropped. I think Inconceivable's getting in that bottom 5.
I can't argue with you because Eva Marie was really bad. Nikki Whelan, who was the co-star in it, she was shocking. And Gina Gershon was just batshit insane. So yeah, I can't argue with that, to be fair. Matt, what's your lowest of the low?
The lowest of the low, the Hall of Shame, as it was. Just looking at what my bottom 5 were previously. So it looks like I had, which feels really unfair now, but I had Snake Eyes at 5, Pay the Ghost next, Jiu-Jitsu, and Left Behind was my bottom 5. There's been a few changes. Some films have been redeemed. So in number 5, we've got Inconceivable. Dreck, absolute dreck. The fact that it shows a bit of skin probably keeps it just at 5 and not further down. Trapped in Paradise number 4. Then we are at Pay the Ghost at number 3. Next at number 2, and Left Behind at number 1. For how just offensively bad it is. So it looks like Jiu-Jitsu got a complete redemption, and Snake Eyes was off the list as well. I think Jiu-Jitsu was taken off purely because at the time I think I've got just an urge to watch Jiu-Jitsu again. I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
You should just listen to the review from last time and see if you still want to.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
that's what I've gone for anyway. With Left Behind will never be taken off that list in some capacity. It probably will always be the worst film I've ever seen, as opposed to on this list.
On Jiu-Jitsu, I mean, regular list of Dean's, one of Dean's workmates watched it and absolutely loves it.
Fucking hell! There's nothing good. There's nothing to love about it, though.
Yeah, I don't know how. Doesn't make any sense at all. But there's people who like it, so who is to judge?
Didn't it have like a 3.6 on IMDb? There's obviously not many people who love it. So I've got a question for you fellas. What film did not live up to your expectations? What did you go in thinking this should be all right and just shit the bed? Anything in particular that really let you down? Matt?
Army of One
Mm,
for me. Army had one had all the recipe to be um, an unknown, but a really entertaining unknown. He had the capacity to be classic Crazy Cage and a performance that he can stick his teeth into and make absolutely bizarre and noteworthy and memorable. But now I think back to it, and I might have even said that like I enjoyed it at the time. I'd need to listen back, but when I think about it now, just it was just a bit shit, wasn't it?
mm,
It wasn't fantastic, and I think from what I'd read and what I saw about it, I expected more, and it had the recipe to be really good, and actually, in reality, it just wasn't, was it?
mm. I mean, all three of us said that Cage was good in it.
Mm.
And I do think he put in an interesting performance.
Yeah.
I just felt the rest of the film didn't hold up its end of the bargain, to be perfectly
Yeah,
honest.
absolutely agree.
Stu, what let you down?
It was on there as well, but I can't really put it on there because I didn't really expect it to be anything more than it was. I thought it'd be shit anyway. So going into it with no expectations, and like we said at the time, I did laugh in parts at it and obviously it was based on someone who's a bit mental anyway. But looking down that list, I mean, Trapped in Paradise, as I've already mentioned, getting a buy until Christmas. But the others, I mean, Massive Men didn't really know much about anyway to begin with. I'm going to kind of flip it here and say Gone in 60 Seconds because other than from extreme nostalgia for me, it wasn't what I remembered. And I know I was quite favourable about it a few weeks ago when we talked about it when it was fresh in my mind. But thinking back at it now and watching what's come since in Fast and Furious and stuff, and even the Need for Speed movie, it just isn't very good. It's not very exciting, and I know I'm contradicting myself of what I said on that episode where you have to take it for what it was at the time. But I remembered it for something that it wasn't, and the film that actually is there isn't what I remembered, and it's proper rose-tinted specs with that one especially. So just because of that, and it disappointed me how it wasn't what I thought. So Gone in 60 Seconds for me.
Yeah, same. I remember really enjoying it. Like, it's got to have been around the time that it was released when I last saw it. I remember enjoying it then, and now it's not even that it's bad; it's that it's lame. Like, it's not even bad enough to be called bad. It's just dorky and lame, and just doesn't live up to anything. But for me, it was Jiu-Jitsu. It was the first film that we discussed that was released during the lifetime of the podcast. And I remember the trailer for Jiu-Jitsu looking absolutely bananas. And it just wasn't. It ended up being a really stinky whiffer of a movie. So yeah, Jiu-Jitsu was my biggest letdown. On the flip side of the coin, though, what exceeded your expectations? My answer to that one, after the absolute shit show that was Jiu-Jitsu, I went into Willy's Wonderland thinking, oh, I don't want to be hurt again, sort of thing here. And it's ended up being one of like my favourite films that I've seen in the first half of 2021. I properly loved it. So, yeah, Willy's Wonderland far exceeded where I went in thinking. Stu, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Willy's Wonderland has no right. It still has no right being as good and fun as it is. Just to mix it up a bit. Obviously, I Drive Angry was exactly as I remembered it, so that's kind of It would have been that because of the premise is mental and you don't expect it to be like that. But Raising Arizona, because I hadn't. Obviously, it's got this massive, or Raising Ariana, as you put in the thing earlier on. It's got this massive reputation of being such a great film and everything. And whenever you hear something like that for a film that old, you always go in thinking, "Oh no, is it really?" And it absolutely was. It was wonderful. It was superb.
Brilliant.
So yeah, Raising Arizona, and as we'll get to when we get later into this, it's placed. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I properly loved Raising Arizona. Matt, what about yourself?
It was going to be Colour Out of Space, but I had no expectations going into it, really, because I just knew nothing about it at all. Whereas I watched the trailer for Matchstick Men, and I thought, this isn't what I'm not really too keen on this. And I ended up actually really enjoying it in the end. And it has heart and has soul and a fantastic Nick Cage performance in it as well. Matchstick Men I really enjoyed. Kind of had just out of the blue. One's something that I expected to enjoy, but I did. Adaptation as well would have been close on that list as well. Something that I wouldn't normally give the time of day to, especially with the trailer being this kind of very different, not really boy meets girl meets, but it's like it was very Hollywood,
rom-com-ish.
But the film itself was very enjoyable.
One that I went into expecting the dirt worst, Grand Isle.
Oh man,
I actually quite enjoyed that in the end.
Yeah, I did as well. I don't know if that was,
never make
I don't know if that was because I was pretty much horny through the whole of it because of him trying to seduce him the whole time. But it was a good film. That
it'd never make the top 5 list, but yeah, I went in expecting absolute dreck, and it was decent in the end. And obviously, Mom and Dad was another one that we all loved. I didn't really have any expectations. I knew nothing of it before, so I suppose that's why he didn't make it onto my list. So we've spoke about the bad. Let's do the top 5 now. Stu, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, before my top 5 was in at 5 was Mom and Dad, Con Air, Colour Out of Space, Face Off, and The Rock. And looking at that list, I really, really, really loved Drive Angry, but it can't go on the top 5. Whereas, as I kind of hinted at there, Raising Arizona is now in at 3 for me. And Mum and Dad is staying in and Con Air is dropping out just because Mum and Dad's amazing. And Willy's Wonderland, if it was a top 6, it would be 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Raising Arizona was so good that that is now my 3rd favourite.
Super. Matt?
Yeah, this is really, really tough, and my list has changed like loads of times as well. This is like last day of the season, playoff final position is being like decided by goal difference kind of territory. It was really, really tough, and I'll probably regret it when I hear this back. But initially, it was Colour Out of Space in 5, Face Off, Kick-Ass, Bad Lieutenant, and The Rock as my list. I've now gone number 5, Willy's Wonderland. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Kick-Ass has been removed because it's only on the basis that it's not a Nick Cage film. He's a bit part player in it in reality. So I've gone adaptation, believe it or not.
Okay.
Because I did really enjoy it. Even I know I didn't maybe understand it quite in the intellectual level that yourself did, but I did enjoy it. Colour Out of Space gets a promotion to number 3. Then Bad Lieutenant, then The Rock. So Face Off faces the music as well. So that list could on any given day be changed, and the kind of 5, 4, and 3 could move around. And Mom and Dad could go in there.
Definitely.
There's Willy's Wonderland again. Quite lucky to make it in, and maybe just because it's quite recent is why it's in. But yeah, really, really tough. That some really, really good films in there. Yeah.
My 5 was Mom and Dad, 4 was Bad Lieutenant, Face Off, Rock, and then Kick-Ass was at number 1. Looking at that list, I think I got it wrong. I think Bad Lieutenant is far too low on that list. I think of all the films that we've watched, that one is the one that has been at the back of my mind the most. Even now, I'm like, I really want to sit down and watch Bad Lieutenant again. So I think that deserves to be bumped up. And you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, Matt, because I completely agree with Kick-Ass. It was previously my number 1. It's not a Nick Cage film, though, is it?
No. No, it's not. And
No.
I think the fact that we watched it for this just reminds you of how great a film it is. So you want to put it in.
Yeah.
But then it's not a Nick Cage film, is it?
No,
So
it's one of the best films that Nick Cage is in, but it's not a Nick Cage film. Yeah, so I've taken that out as well. So there are 2 new entries into my top 5. Willy's Wonderland is at number 5. Mom and Dad is at number 4. Raising Arizona is number 3. The Rock is number 2, and Bad Lieutenant is number 1.
Ooh.
So Face Off has been binned, and obviously Kick-Ass, as I just described. Like, I think the thing with Face Off, it's a great, terrible movie.
yeah.
And I'm getting to the point where I just want films I actually actively enjoy. And all of the ones on that list are ones that I've watched a couple of times this year. I mean, I watched Mum and Dad again the other week. I think it's a great movie. So, whereas Face Off, I'll probably watch again in another 5 years, just for that so bad it's good kind of feel
That's
to it.
absolutely fair, that.
Yeah. So that's my list. And so the final question I've got then, what has been your favourite moment of the past 12 months of cage fighting? Stu?
Let me just say that on the original draft list for this, it was your favourite Stew moment. And so,
Yeah, it was.
So that has been changed, thankfully.
It's one and the same, to be honest.
There's a few. I mean, getting Tom Stade was incredible. That was a great day. That was. But the one that I thought of straight away was an email that we had really early on from just a random guy we didn't know, who said that it was his regular thing on a Monday morning to listen to while he was at work, and at 5 a.m. I thought, actually, yeah, I said it at the time. It makes it all worthwhile when you got people. Yeah, we'll do this anyway, even if no one listened, because it's a laugh. But the fact that people actually got us in their schedule is, even though we've all been doing this for years on the Fancast and everything, it's still a bit strange, but in a really nice way. And to be to be important to someone like that, it was really nice. It was a really, really nice moment.
Yeah, it was. That's definitely one of my favourite moments as well. Loved that. Matt, what about yourself?
I mean, I got to hear Paul Clayton do a bit for Peep's show. That was incredible. I lost my shit to that. And then, the episode with Tom Stade was great. He was so funny. And then there's the line that, like, I always go back to just when I need a chuckle, when he's like, "Someone throw a shield at this bitch." And that was great. But it's the same as Stu's. I think it might be a different person. This we had a DM from now cage fighting regular Andrew Wright. Basically, I won't read the tweet, the message out, but basically says he came to us via Wolves Fancast, via kind of osmosis, and he really enjoys it. And it's just kind of like a keep up the good work thing from somebody like we'd never really liaised with before and had any conversation with before. And if we only reached out to kind of 10, 15 people that are our friends, we'd probably just still do this because we just enjoy it. It's quite a laugh. But to actually make a new listener, just at the time, and still does, just felt really nice. Felt like a bit of validation for something that is sometimes really silly, but sometimes actually you put a lot of your heart in because you enjoy it. And it was just really nice to have that little bit of validation. So, yeah, that's probably my favourite moment so far.
Yeah, totally. Paul Clayton was brilliant. The fact that we got together the night before to record the news because we thought he won't want to be with us all evening. He won't be pissing around with us idiots. And then he comes on and he just spends ages regaling us with tales of his showbiz life. And it was just incredible. I loved that. And yeah, Tom Stade is just hilarious. And the fact that it wasn't like he did it because he had to do it. He actively wanted to come on, and I thought it just felt brilliant to have that interaction with someone.
Yeah, I don't think one thing that we'd said about Tom Stade, I don't think it's been mentioned on the show at any point. He spent a good 15, 20 minutes asking about us, what we do for a living, what
Yeah.
are we into, what, like, he could have been in and out, fulfilled his obligation to some idiot podcast that tweeted him. And he didn't. He spent time just chatting to us, and like he rang me up to arrange it, and I was like, I was on the phone for him for like a good 5-10 minutes or so. They're just the mark of a really nice bloke, and a very funny one at that.
Yeah, definitely a good brother. Well, I mean, I've loved interacting with people on Twitter. Has been brilliant. Meeting all these, like, all the different podcasts and everything that seem to be having conversations with us and that interaction with them. And I really like that podcast community, that everyone seems to be quite, like, everyone wants to help each other. And I think that's a really amazing thing. And like very early doors, we set up a Cage group on Twitter with all the other Cage podcasts. It's ridiculous to think that we're doing something like that. And yeah. So yeah, it's the other people that, just knowing that they listen, that they give us that bit of time each week when they don't have to, because it's just us talking shit about something we love. As you said, Matt, if it was just a few people, if it was just our friends listening, we would still do it because we love doing it. But it's the fact that it's not just people we know or we knew before.
Yeah,
it's wonderful,
and it's like people like TK and stuff who, I don't know, and you kind of know you meet through people, but then like playing football with them until my faithful injury, like people come to it that I hadn't really ever spoke to in person, say, oh yeah, I'll listen to it, and I think like the whole meeting Tara as well, and that getting her on, and Dave being on as well, and everyone, and Rich and Jordan, everyone that we've had as guests have all been great as well, and obviously guests are going to be come and go as well in the years to come. That's not going to stop. But it's like every time someone comes on this, it depends. It doesn't matter who they are. It's just wonderful that they want to do it.
Really is. Like Tara was really like thankful of us giving her the time on the podcast. I'm like, no, we want you to come on. We've enjoyed it. It's been great. I really liked being able to invite Dave Evans on, who obviously he's the reason we know each other, because he was the former leader of the Fancast. So it was nice to be able to reach out. And obviously we've had a few other guys who've been on on this podcast who are from the Fancast. It was great to have that different conversation. It's been a great year, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to year 2. Even if the films may not be that good,
yeah, definitely.
I am looking forward to the conversations that we're bound to have. So, just want to say a massive thank you for the past 12 months. We wouldn't be here without you, and you know that's not hyperbole. So, thank you very, very much. Matt, would you like to say goodbye for this special birthday cast?
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for your time and your patience listening to us chatting shite week in, week out. But at least you've got to hear Stu's ridiculous life in full HD in your eardrums, because it just gets better and better every week. Literally, honestly, I don't know how you haven't either spent time inside, or like you're just like you're not already a TV celebrity in some capacity. But no.
it's just normal things. It's none of these things I've gone out my way to experience. It just happens to me.
Why always
Yeah.
Balotelli for Stu?
Yeah, there's so many mad things that Stu comes out with. I had completely forgotten about the body form thing that he did.
No, yeah.
After listening to the end of the Jiu-Jitsu podcast for earlier, it rolled over into the next episode, and the next episode was the body form, and I thought, the fuck's this? Oh, that's it. Yeah, it really tickled me.
Yeah, man. Anyway, look after yourselves, guys.
Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, after all this mockery, it's a genuine pleasure. This nonsense gets enjoyed by so many people, and yeah, just keep up the good work. Keep sending your stuff in, and we love you all. Try.
It's goodbye from me, and to quote Vinnie Jones, it's been emotional.
Welcome to the first episode of Cage Fighting, answering the big questions in film. My name's Andrew Gillard. I am a film nerd. I did film studies at university. In 2018, I watched 408 new films. Well, they were new to me anyway. I still have my list of films from that year. That is how much of a film nerd I am. I list the films I watch.
Before I even introduce myself, how is this possible? How can you possibly watch that many films, even this year alone?
I'm a single man. I live alone. I need something to do. So yeah, films constantly.
Yeah, so I'm Stu Hall. I went to uni for a bit and did media comms, but we did a bit of film as well. And as with everyone else, I love films, not as much as Andy does, clearly. But yeah, everything from proper things like Schindler's List and things like that to the incredible silliness of Transformers: Dark of the Moon. There's a wide spectrum of what's acceptable for me, so this podcast suits me down to the ground.
Hi, I'm Matt Guy, 31. I like film, long walks in the park, and I'm looking to meet a woman. Sorry, it's the wrong recording. I'm on. I pretty much wanted to do this podcast to justify my film studies degree, to be honest, and hope I can have some value out of it. But I'm really looking forward to working with the team and making sure that we can dissect the big questions in film and hopefully entertain you guys.
The aim of this podcast is to answer every question that you may have ever thought about film. If you've ever wondered what the best film of the 80s was, which member of the X-Men might be the best ballroom dancer, or what the best snack in a cinema is, stick around, we'll give you the answers. The answers to those are actually Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Mystique, and nothing. It should be silent in the cinema. I don't know how to tell you this enough. There is no noise in the cinema. The format, what we're going to be doing is we're going to alternate each week. One week we're going to have the question cast. The following week we're going to be doing a deeper dive onto one specific question, which has haunted film fans for many years.
Nicolas Cage, good or bad? A challenge, certainly, but not unsolvable, because all actors have distinct values, which I use to find answers.
Abed, how much Nicolas Cage did you...
Enough!
That was a clip from Community. For those of you who have seen the show, you will know that Abed was driven to the brink of insanity trying to answer one simple question. This is the question that myself and the lads that we're going to try and answer. It's going to be arduous, but we'll get there. That question, of course, is Nicolas Cage, good or bad?
Okay, let's run.